Some videos are made with a little bit of a devious flair within. I like to say that I'm just playing the heel. Others, and I think this assessment is a little bit more accurate, would say that I just like making random crap videos about whatever. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's not brain rot, but today, what we're doing is we're going over some comments made by one former Sportsnet employee and still very renowned NHL broadcaster Jeff Marek, who made an appearance on the Oilers Nation Everyday podcast. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description to two things. Firstly, it's the Oilers Nation episode, which featured Jeff Marek on as a guest. It's on YouTube, it's on the Oilers Nation account, it's got a bunch of views, and it's the entire broadcast there. And I'll also leave a link in the description to an article published on OilersNation.com by Michael Mazzei. Because what Mazzei does is he goes out there and transcribes some of the comments made by Jeff Marek in regards to the Edmonton Oilers and their hesitancy to overpay right now, and whether or not the Buffalo Sabres could be a potential trade partner. Let's go out there into the article. Daily Faceoff's Jeff Marek believes the Oilers have yet to make a trade to improve their team because the asking prices for trades are too high for the type of pieces they want to add. Appearing on the Oilers Nation Everyday podcast, Marek was asked about how things stand for the Oilers and if they have an imminent trade up their sleeves. Marek feels that while GM Stan Bowman could pull the trigger on a deal right now, he would have to be comfortable with surrendering a lot more assets than at the trade deadline. Teams are willing to make a deal, but only if they get more value than they're worth at that time, he said. Edmonton can make a deal for a D-man right now, but the team that's selling will want more in return than what the acquiring team would want because essentially what they'd want to do is create a marketplace around the trade deadline. I think right now, all things being equal, unless there's a total collapse there by the Edmonton Oilers, they're not going to make their moves until the trade deadline. So, that's actually interesting to me, firstly, of the idea of Edmonton being content enough with their own team and not really wanting to push anything, forcing the issue until the trade deadline and waiting until then to make some sort of a big defenseman acquisition. I mean, the Oilers haven't been too bad in their own zone this year. It's just Stuart Skinner has been playing lights out above and beyond terrible compared to the average expectation. So while you can say the Oilers' defensive woes more so are because of terrible goaltending rather than terrible defense, you can still improve the defense. I mean, Ty Emberson, Stetcher, Dermott, these guys aren't it, and realistically, if you wanted to craft out the rest of your D-core around that core of top four guys, Bouchard, Ekholm, Nurse, and then I guess you could say Kulak on the third pair, maybe adding on another defenseman would be valuable here. This is what Jeff Marek goes out there and responds to in that idea, though. He added, the team is likely waiting to see how they do around January, which is typically when they start to find their groove and get rolling. After all, last season saw the Oilers start to drastically improve right around New Year's, which coincided with their 16-game win streak and Stuart Skinner playing like one of the best goalies in the world. Who knows, man? If the Oilers are really saying to themselves internally, yeah, we just gotta wait till January, then we're gonna be good again, and then we can go out there and evaluate. We don't need to make any sort of panic move right now. We don't need to go out there and make a big trade right now because we stink right now defensively. We just gotta wait because we're gonna find our groove. We did it last year, we can do it again this year. I mean, wishful thinking, right? But at the same time, the same team did make the finals this previous year, so I think they do have the right to hold off a little bit. This is where Marek goes out there and talks about some targets. When the time does come to make that trade, there will be no shortage of teams the Oilers will be inquiring with. When Jeff Marek was asked about which team would be an ideal candidate for Edmonton to make a deal with, he set his eyes on the Buffalo Sabres. Everything is on the line in that organization. It's not exactly a secret, he said. The players feel that, the players know it, behind closed doors the players talk about it. Everybody knows what is at stake with the Buffalo Sabres. Dylan Cousins has had a really rough season, Jack Quinn has had a rough start as well. You guys are mentioning Bowen Byram, he may just end up killing them in arbitration if he's still with the Sabres and it gets there. The name Owen Power has also been whispered out there as well. Could we see the Buffalo Sabres trade defenseman Owen Power to a team like the Edmonton Oilers, for example? Owen Power would be another one of these first overall picks to find himself in Edmonton should he get sent over there. From The screen to the ring to the pen to the... Okay, not that. From Yakupov to Nugent Hopkins to Taylor Hall to Connor Mack to... Yeah, it's been 4, right? 4 in a row? Or not 4 in a row. 3 and 4 years, something like that. And then the other one, another few years beforehand. It was something like that. I forgot. It was a decade ago. But Owen Power. The Oilers have had their fair share of first overall forwards. What about a first overall D-man? And to be fair, Owen Power, I don't want to say like he's playing like first overall caliber hockey right now. I think his 15 points in 24 games, his 50-point pace, it's pretty good. Like, I mean, he's not bad, that's for sure. But when you think about the potential, what Owen Power could be and why he was taken first overall in the first place over a guy like Matty Beniers, over the other 2021 guys, Aatu Räty was supposed to be first overall for a moment, but then eventually he slipped all the way down. But Owen Power was taken first overall because at his best, everybody was seeing a big-bodied guy who can headman the puck, an absolute force with the puck on his stick. If he gets going and he gets that stride intact, there's no stopping Owen Power. He's like a freight train out there. And with his offensive instincts that he had refined with the University of Michigan Wolverines, there was a lot of potential there. In fact, I actually applaud Owen Power for being the first overall pick in over a decade to not go to the NHL right away after being drafted. He had spent another season in the NCAA's Michigan Wolverines and then joined the Sabres at the end of that upcoming year. So for Power to really be acknowledging of his own development and understand where he needs to go to improve his hockey playing career, that's really admirable in my opinion. And now he's like a bona fide top 4 guy. He could eventually become a top 2 guy, considering the fact that he's only 22 years old. It's just going to be hard to do that when he's playing behind Rasmus Dahlin and now Bowen Byram, who are both on that top pairing. Could Owen Power get sent over to Edmonton and stabilize that D-core by adding some legitimate value in the now and in the future to that top 4? Right now, the guy's on pace for 50 points on the season. If he ends up becoming the best version of himself, he could be a 65 to 70 point guy, whilst providing huge defensive presence and great skating. Power has a really good skill set, and I still do believe in him longer term. It's just, I will acknowledge that compared to some of the other first overall picks, like, of course, he's no Bedard, he's no Celebrini, he doesn't even have that same, I think, pedigree as Rasmus Dahlin does right now. I think Dahlin, when Dahlin was 22 years old, was better than what Owen Power is right now. But still, there's a lot of value here, and I think heading into a team like Edmonton, for example, obviously the trade prices are going to be huge. The Oilers would have to shell out a lot of extra assets to make this kind of a thing work. Maybe send Matthew Savoy back over to Buffalo, who really knows? It would be a crazy idea, and it would not be easy, but it certainly would help out Edmonton and their defensive situation at the moment. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this crazy idea of sending Owen Power over to the Edmonton Oilers in some sort of a Buffalo-Edmonton trade? What are the odds that a team like Buffalo even thinks about trading Owen Power away? Is that an absolute hikaru no-go situation, or is it like, okay, we could think about it depending on what the return is? I mean, Jeff Marek says everything's balls to the wall over here in Buffalo. Could we see Power to Edmonton? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.